So this is the B-flat major piece from page 15 of the Selected Studies for Oboe book. It is from set 1 of the Arkansas All-Region Music. It's probably the most technical of the all-region pieces in set 1. If we look through it, first to discuss fingerings for some of these high notes, on line 3, the second note you'll see is a high E flat. So you're going to want to use a forked F for that first note to a high E flat, which is a half hole, 2 and 3 on your left hand, 2 and 3 on your right hand, and then the B key here on your left hand also. So from forked F to E flat. And students are going to want to practice that slowly for a little bit, so just F to E flat, and then F to E flat to D. So F, forked F, E flat, which is that half hole 2, 3, the B key, and then 2, 3. And then to go to D, you're going to pick up the D key on your left hand. You're going to pick up 2 and 3 on your right hand and put down the C key. So E flat to D. And you'll want to practice that interval a little bit first and then put together F, E flat, D. And practice that run before putting it in context. So that's the first of the high notes. Later we have, on the end of line 5, we have an F major arpeggio. This is particularly difficult to get clean because the first finger on your right hand and the second finger on your left hand don't want to move together, and they have to in order to go from A to C and from F to A. So what you'll typically hear is this but between the A and the C. It's hard for me to do it when I do it intentionally, but it happens quite a bit even to me. So I would recommend that students practice that arpeggio slowly. You'll have to use a forked F in the middle of that measure going down to low C. And then it's followed by a high F, but it's difficult to get all those fingers down for the high F, so we have a short fingering for high F. It's like a high A with a half hole open. So you have the thumb, which you don't usually have on high A, you usually have a side octave. So it's really not like high A. You have thumb, half hole 2, and then you have this A flat key on this side. So that's the longer key over here. For high F. That's a short fingering, so it typically has some pitch problems because it doesn't have all the fingers that you normally use for high F. But it's a good way to get it out quickly since this is a fast technical passage. So I would recommend practicing that arpeggio nice and slowly to get it clean, and then also practicing all the way up to that high F. Moving on, most of the difficulty in this piece just comes from the fact that it's very quick and you're moving back and forth between some difficult fingerings. I would recommend that students mark ahead of time where you'd want to use a forked F. If you have a left F key, so this key here, where you might want to use a left F, and where you might want to use a regular F, because if you just wait till you get on the spot, sometimes it's difficult and you'll miss it. Let's see if there are any other particular passages. The third line from the bottom, last measure, you have a chromatic scale, and it goes all the way up to high E flat. You have an E flat again in that last line. And then you have another arpeggio, you have the B-flat major arpeggio, because this is in the key of B-flat major. In the second to last measure, you're going to have the same issues with that you might have with your C, in that you have to move a lot of fingers together, so I would recommend practicing that arpeggio slowly before you put it together. The recommended tempo is pretty quick. It doesn't sound quick when you put it on. So this is the dotted quarter note pulse. And it's actually pretty quick when you get into those 16th notes. I'll play a little bit and then stop and talk about a few parts of it. So in that part, piece that might really be difficult for students is the first measure of the second line, and it's because the emphasis doesn't come on the beat. So you have what looks like 3 beats, 1E and a, 2E and a, 3E and a, instead of a 6/8 pulse. So keeping the pulse through that and keeping the tempo steady, I would recommend going really slowly. 1E and a, 2E and a, or 1 ta la ta li ta, however you count it. Just to get the emphasis in the right place and to make sure you can keep track of the pulse. The rest of it flows fairly nicely. However, I wouldn't expect students to play it quickly starting at 60. So you might take it slower, and actually if you can, put it on, say, a triplet pulse instead of the dotted 8 or dotted quarter, because that way you can think 1 and 2 and 3 in, and then slow it down. Oh. So the slowest that my metronome will go is 40. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and I'm going to play just the first line like that. Okay, I lied, I went into the second line. But you get the picture, slow it way down so that everything is nice and even, because it's just straight 16th notes. And so that even pulse is really super important. Okay, so I stopped 1, 2, 3, 4 at the beginning of the 5th line. I'm going to actually start on the 4th line. I'm not going to play the B flat at the beginning, but I'll start right after that. And that way I'll have the continuation from the 4th line into the 5th line instead of just stopping right there. Let me find my 60 again. Okay, so you may have noticed that in the intervals on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7th line, it wasn't particularly clean for me. It was okay, but you might have heard a little blip here and there. I'm just reading through this to make this video. I haven't played this piece since the last time it was up for all region. What I would really recommend is playing through that slowly to get it nice and clean, and making sure that you know what all those intervals are ahead of time. So the common note in that is C. Everything goes back to C. Let's see, anything before that? You'll see at the beginning of that same line, that's the 7th line, you have a staccato note in the middle of the measure. Because this is all straight 16th notes, the technique is making sure that your fingers are clean, but every now and then you'll have these little articulations thrown in there, and they're very important to this style. So make sure that you tongue that in there. The next line on the, I guess that's the 8th line, you have a B flat major arpeggio. And I have water in my oboe, so I will get that out and try that again. So on a very humid day, it's quite possible that you'll get water in your oboe keys, and once you get water in your keys, it's very difficult to get it out. Sometimes you really can't help it. A few things you can do to help keep from getting water in your keys is make sure when you set your oboe down that you set it keys up. If you set it keys down, the water will roll around the inside of the oboe and into the tone holes. You can get ungummed cigarette paper If it's gummed, it has adhesive on it and it will make your keys sticky, so do not get gummed adhesive paper or cigarette paper. Get ungummed cigarette paper, which is a nice thin absorptive paper. You can put it right under the keys to blot up water. You will also need to swab out your oboe. You may need to blow through the oboe, like cover the tone holes and blow through. Once there's water in a key, it's very difficult to get it out. So take care of it as soon as you can and just do your best to keep going. Once you get the water out, play some low notes so that you get the water trail established all the way down the oboe so that your water is dripping from the top to the bottom instead of blowing up into an open tone hole. So play like low B flat, low B, low C, low D to help establish that spit trail down your oboe. And then you can try and see if the water's out of the key. You still hear a little gurgle, but I'm going to continue from there. So on the beginning of the 8th line, you have a B flat major arpeggio. And the articulation is a little bit strange. So you have 1, 2, 3, and then you tongue 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you tongue again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So make sure that you pay attention to where that articulation happens. I'm going to start there and keep going. You will notice that at the beginning of the last line, I broke between the D and the C, and it's actually slurred across. But I needed to grab a quick breath because I didn't do it before. So in this piece, it's very important that you mark out where your breaths are going to happen. The D to D, so you're going from a mid D to a high D. There's not a shortcut fingering. So you're fingering half hole 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then to the high D, you're picking up the whole right hand and putting down the C key. So students should practice that interval to get that grace note in there. And you can hear the water coming back in my B flat key. It's kind of a pain. Once it's there, it's really hard to get rid of. Okay, so that is the B flat major piece, and hopefully some of these hints and tips have helped.